Now, I have no idea if you like when I do these baking things and make cookies or muffins and all that stuff. I personally don't care because I get to eat this stuff. Even though I'm allergic to chocolate, I'm making chocolate chunk cookie bars with walnuts. Yes, with walnuts, because more words are better and more ingredients are better. That's why this really is all the ingredients. This is pretty simple. But why are we doing this? What makes it chocolate chunk? We have candy bars here. These are king size chocolate bars. See if you can see. I took them out of the wrapper because I didn't get sponsored, and I'm not giving away free advertising for the Hershey Company. Darn it. Anyways, nothing against them, but they don't all exist apparently. So they don't send me free chocolate bars. That's weird. I mean, geez, who knew? Anyways, we are going to make these things delicious, but a cookie bar and a chocolate chip cookie are essentially the same thing, but one of them is a lot lazier. This is the lazy version, because when you make chocolate chip cookies, you got to spoon them all out and do all the thing and everything, and it takes you, I don't know how you do it, but it takes me like 3 hours. I make big batches of cookies. This is going to take 20 minutes. So this is better. Yeah, plus you get to add fun things like chopped walnuts. Now, if walnuts are too expensive for you, you can always use deer nuts. They're always under $1. But we're going to be using the walnuts today because I already have them. We have 2 eggs. We have 2.5 sticks of salted butter. It must be salted butter because to the unsalted butter people. No, there are certain things unsalted butter is very much used for. This is not one of them because I don't care. We have 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use bleached, unbleached, enriched, whatever you want. Do not use bread flour or pizza flour for this because you're not making bread or pizza. There you go. There is also a teaspoon of salt in here and a teaspoon of baking soda because science. And for our sugars here, we have brown sugar and white sugar, the granulated sugar, working hand in hand the way they were meant to be because we can all work together and stop the hate. So if we can get these 2 sugars to work together, we can all do it. Right, people? Okay, no sugar hate. Hashtag something. I don't know how any of that stuff works. So we have a cup of dark brown sugar, and I'm using dark brown sugar. Some people say don't do that. I say, woo! And we have granulated sugar, 3/4 cup. That's a little more than you would normally see in one of these recipes, but that's because it's my recipe and it's not theirs. If they were smarter, they would use more. But since I'm the smartest guy making cookies, I mean, it is my last name. That's what I do right there. And we have vanilla extract because whole beans are expensive, and I spent all that money on the walnuts. So that's just what we got. I'm using a stand mixer. You don't have to because you can do this. I mean, grandmas for thousands of years have been making chocolate chip cookies without a stand mixer. You can do it, but it takes some elbow grease, and I own a mixer, so why the hell wouldn't I use that? Because I'm a little low on elbow grease. 1.5 king-size bars of this. The other half a bar, apparently that's been allocated to something else or someone else. But 1.5 will get this going pretty good. We're just going to chop this up into some pretty good sized pieces. There you go. That's what we're going to get started with. Basically, you've seen me make cookies before. You've seen the crack cookie video, and you have seen the crack cookie video. Okay, right here. There's a link. Watch the crack cookie video. Basically, this is very similar to that. We're just putting it in a pan. So, what does it start with, and what is essential? To make really great cookies, there's a couple things that are essential. You have to cream the sugar into the butter. It's the first step. If you're doing this by hand, that's the part that sucks. So, we have 2.5 sticks of butter. This is softened room temperature butter. There you go. We're putting this in the bottom of the mixer. This goes in first because that's why I choose to do that. You could put it in after the sugar goes in. It doesn't matter. If that's what you get hung up on, maybe cooking isn't your thing. Because this is the easy part, folks. All right, so we're just opening these up. And again, room temperature is best. If you want to brown the butter, just remember not to cook off all the moisture because there's a lot of water in there, and that will affect how this all turns out, and it really screws up the recipe. So if you brown, you have to weigh the butter first, and you have to weigh it afterwards. If it weighs dramatically less, add water back to it and whip it up really good to get the water content right, because all the steam that comes out when you're browning the butter will change everything. I mean, that water is what hydrates the flour, and if you don't do that, bad on you. Okay, sugar's going in. You didn't know you were getting a science lesson, did you? Wow. Okay, well that's a pain in the butt. Stab it. That still didn't work. Okay, I'm going to take that out, tip it over real good. Okay. Don't overpack your sugar in there. I was a little high, so I just crammed it down until I got to the 1 cup line. Apparently, that wasn't a good idea. All right, it's fine. Live and learn. All right, now this is going down, and this is going to get on low speed for a minute. We're going to crank this up and let this whip to get the butter in there nice and creamed in. This is important for the texture of the cookies and how they flow and how they cook and all this stuff. So this is one of those critical steps, actually. Most people don't tell you to do this, but I'm an expert. Again, last name's Cookie. I have to know this stuff. All right, that is looking pretty good. It's not going to fly around. We're going to crank this up to a medium-ish, medium-low. We have a lot of butter stuck on the paddle. I'm using the paddle attachment, not the whisk attachment, because it's easier. No whisk attachment, man. It really sucks this up. It really gets in there and packs in, and it doesn't work. The paddle attachment is. Don't use the dough hook. We're not making pizza. That is what creaming that looks like. All right, creaming the sugar. All right, we're gonna put our 2 eggs into here. Always crack your eggs into a separate thing, unless you really like the chunky bits in your food, because there will invariably be something that gets in there. That looks really good, but we're gonna let that go a second. Be back in 1 second. All right, there's the bits that climb up the side here. You want to get those down and worked in, because obviously they're not as mixed as well as the stuff at the bottom. Don't try that at home. That's an advanced move. I think it's time for the eggs. It looks pretty good to me. Now I whip these up beforehand so that they incorporate easier. You don't have to, but doesn't hurt anything. Come on. So the eggs are going in. Some people say put them in one at a time. Some people say a lot of things. Some people say we never landed on the moon. Love the smell of vanilla extract. All right, now we're going to be very careful and make sure we get exactly 2 teaspoons in here. Yeah. There you go. Exactly. This is going to whip until it's incorporated. So just let it go. That is looking fantastic. Next step, flour is going in. Be careful and turn your mixer down to the lowest setting when you're doing this. Otherwise, I don't think I need to tell you that. Yeah, and kids, if you're watching this and you're thinking about doing this without supervision, go for it. That's how I learned. Oh, I come from the generation where the parenting model was, he'll figure it out. That's how I discovered electricity, a paperclip. All right, that is looking really good. We do not want to over whip this at this point. And this will take a minute to fully hydrate the flour, so that is the perfect time for us to chop up our chocolate. It's not a top 40 hit thing. I shouldn't Use my radio DJ voice. And now we're chopping the chocolate. I can put the walnuts in now. Okay, we're just gonna let those sit for a second. I'm gonna chop this. You just want rough chops, basically, because you want chunks. Chunks are good. Random size. Those don't look very random at this point, so I'm gonna go across it this way. Now, chocolate bar has to be cold, obviously, but not too cold. So if it's completely frozen, this is going to be much more difficult. But keep it in the fridge at least. Okay, so I'm going to put the chocolate in here. That is going to make these delicious. Don't forget the good stuff. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Go hide this until later, and we're just going to let this sit for about 5 minutes, something like that, before I whip this, because I want this just to go real quick, one good whip through it, and then we're going to put this in the pan and have it be done. But yeah, let it sit 5 minutes, then give it a quick stir for 20 seconds, something like that, and then back in the pan, back here in a second, and we will finish these things up. Yep. All right, you may have noticed that I did not throw these away when I was done, because I'm going to grease this pan. Do you have to grease the pan? Yeah. I don't care what anybody else says. Generally, that's just my rule in life. I don't care what anybody else said. But in my experience, again, cookie expert, greasing the pan is a good idea. I've made a lot of. I think I made my first batch of cookies when I was about 7 years old. Not a joke. Maybe 8, something like that. I was very young, and I was the cookie person in my household, official cookie maker from that point on, because I managed to do it without making a mess. I mean, this isn't movie magic. This is the way I make cookies. There's stuff everywhere. This is how I do it. And my mom used to make a horrible mess, and it would take her an hour to clean up. I was cleaned up before I was even finished. So she's like, congratulations, you just got promoted to head cookie maker. Never do too good a job, kids. Dad advice. Who wants to see stupid dad advice? God, oh man. Never do too good a job. And you'll have that job forever. You'll be indispensable, as they say. Bad idea. It's the old thing. It's like, I'm gonna make breakfast for you, dear. Where do we keep the frying pans? Yeah, that's how you get out of making breakfast, right there. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I'm rolling this thing. We're just gonna get this mixed up real fast. That's it. Hands up. You don't want to overwet this, because you'll be able to too much gluten and other things like that, because there is flour in there. Flour has gluten, unless you're using gluten-free flour, which is not flour, and then you're not making cookies. I don't know what the hell you are making, but it ain't cookies. And stop trying to feed those things to me, because those aren't cookies. My last name's Cookie. I'm an expert. I know the difference. Stop trying to fool me. All right, I'm going to pull these out. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a thing of beauty? That's a thing of beauty. All right, I'm setting this over here. We are going to reset up this camera. Yep. Okay, we've refocused from here to there, because this is where they're going now. Then they go here. Well, they got to go in the oven first. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited. Can't help it. Okay, let's get this over here. I'm just going to move this thing real fast, because it's a small area, and you're trying to see, and the camera's over there. So, yeah, this is my entire workspace. This is 30 inches by 30 inches. I used to have a huge kitchen. I'm going to have a huge kitchen again someday, just as soon as they figure out what the heck they're doing with real estate stuff. Oh, my God. See, I went and looked at a house, and wow. It was not good. I think Wolverines lived there. Not like the people from Michigan. They weren't like, no, not those folks. I mean, like the actual animals. There wasn't an inch of that house that didn't have to be replaced. Oh, baseboards were chewed up and everything. I like projects, but I ain't paying top dollar for that. Heck no. Funny, it's been 2 months now, and it's still on the market. Someday I'll find a house. Then I'll have a better kitchen, and I'll make better videos. I'll have a yard. Right now I have about a 10 by 10 yard. My dogs hate me. Of course I had to get it stuck in the handle. I'm gonna have to eat that out of there, I think. It's the only way it's coming out. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? But yeah, I got a feeling. Okay. Try and get the rest out of this. This is a little easier when you're doing it one scoop at a time. When you're trying to get everything at once, it is a bit tricky. But she's nice and creamy because we got extra butter in there and extra sugar. And that's gonna make it extra delicious and extra chewy. So these are wonderful chewy things. And I will take care of that later. We're working on this right now. We're doing the Lord's work here. Making cookies, man. Yeah, and that whole thing, Jesus turning water into wine thing, that old story, doesn't track with me. I think he was turning crackers into cookies. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Again, my last name's Cookie. I'm an expert. You can trust me. The extra butter and sugar really makes this super creamy, which makes this super annoying and tedious. But I want all of this in my cookies because I want the cookies. And remember, it's completely unsafe to eat the cookie dough raw. Don't do that. See? I'm giving bona fide approved advice. As I wouldn't be saying it sarcastically at all. Alright, now we gotta flatten this out. This will not flatten out on its own. Okay, I just need to let my OCD go. Put that in the oven. 350, about 20 something minutes until they look beautiful. We're gonna pull these a little bit earlier so they're extra chewy. If you want them really crunchy, so that they're popping molars out, then just cook the hell out of them. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could. I'm gonna cook these till they're delicious. So these going in the oven. 350, 20 minutes-ish. I will give you the exact number right about here probably because that'll be there. The other thing is, I need to point this out. When I give you times and different things, that's in my kitchen, my experience and things. I just realized I live at 3,000 feet. That changes the cooking times of several things. So adjust slightly if you're at sea level or at 6,000 feet. Yeah, I'm my house is at about 3,000 feet, just 20 feet under, something like that. So that definitely affects things. So if you're cooking at sea level, it will not take quite as long to cook anything as I say it will. And if you live at 6,000 feet, it'll take longer. But it's cooking. You adjust. All right, going in the oven. It's been 24 minutes. It's a little jiggly, if I'm being honest. I'm going to stick this right in the center, pull this out. Came out mostly clean. I'm going for it. I don't know if that applies to cookies, but it works for cakes, so what the heck. I'll pick that up later before it gets jammed in my foot. Have you ever stepped on a toothpick and had it gone into your foot? Don't do that. Dad advice. There you go. This is going to cool down a little bit, and then we are going to chop into this, and then I'm going to be back, and we're going to look at the inside of this thing. Now it requires patience. I do not have patience. Never been a doctor. Dumb joke time. All right, see you in a second. Patience only goes so far. It's time to get this thing on the board, get it cut, and get this tasted, and get on with our lives, which are going to include cookie bars for about the next 2 days. So we're going to take this spatula here, just work this way around. This is why we buttered the pan. To anyone that said you don't need to do that, Look at that. Okay. Now we got to get this thing onto here. That's going to be a bit of a trick. So we're going to take this, try and lift. Now this is sunken pretty good here. This is going to be really, really chewy. Really, really, really chewy. Alright folks, executive decision. It ain't coming out in one piece. We're sectioning up in the pan. I'm not going to get to use this. Darn it. Back in 1 second. Okay, I got my biggest knife. We're going to go in. We're going to cut some bars. Now you got to make these things big enough that you can put a scoop of ice cream on. Because that's the benefit of a cookie bar, is the big old, not really a paizuki, but sort of. Does anybody out there know what a paizuki is? Is that just BJ's that does that? I don't know. I've never had one, because, let's be honest, I don't save room for dessert very much. Not when you have options like beer. Yeah, it just doesn't go with dessert. If you don't know, BJ's makes their own beer. And if I'm looking at what I'm doing, I don't go... That'll be mine. Now you think we can get one out? Oh, I hope so. That is a chewy, gooey, wonderful cookiosity. Yeah, I probably could have gone 2 more minutes. So 26 minutes on these. I'm not going to complain though. There's nothing wrong with a slightly underdone cookie, in my opinion. But yeah, the worst thing you can do to these is overcook them, so don't do that. Alright. I'm going in and taking a piece. This thing is really, really gooey. But if you want a chewy cookie bar, and this, oh yeah, come on. Alright, stop that train wreck right there. Alright, obviously the cookie bars there were not turning out very well, so I'm going to interrupt this video to bring you an update on exactly how to fix this. First of all, there's a little bit too much butter in there, maybe 1/4 of a stick. So that half a stick, cut that in half, 2 1/4 sticks, much better. You're going to get a very chewy, wonderful cookie bar. The other thing is the cooking time. You don't want to cook them any hotter than 350 because then the corners get really crispy and hard and all that stuff. But you got to cook these longer. 24 minutes was a joke. 28 might not even be enough. 30 is probably closer. I took these, put them in the fridge overnight, came back and decided to try a science experiment. And I put them back in the pan, put them back in the oven at 350 and cooked them another 30 minutes, and they actually turned out pretty good. They're maybe not quite as good as they'd be if they were originally cooked at the right temperature and time and all the rest, but you can save them if you undercook them so radically. That's it. But another good way to know if they're undercooked, when I pulled it out of the oven, the big 13x9 pan, it jiggled. It had a wave to it. Should have been my first clue. Not even close. So, don't do that. Do that. Don't do that. Make sure you do that. And if you do this, then you can always do that. And then there you go. That pretty much solves all of everything and answers all your questions, except why has it been a couple of days since that video ended to I'm doing this video. My chocolate allergy went from minor to so that right there is probably enough to kill me. Because I had a little bit about this size, I ate that little bit. And it's been a rough couple of days. There will be no more chocolate on this channel. I do apologize, but there's no point in me cooking something I can't eat because I won't know what it tastes like So I'm sorry if you're just here for the chocolate, considering this is like the first chocolate video I've done, then you're in the wrong place. May I suggest one of the other lovely channels here on the YouTubes that does chocolate. I mean, come back here for the other stuff, but if you're looking for chocolate content, this is no longer going to be the home of chocolate. I apologize, but it ain't worth dying over. I mean, it's delicious, but it'd be a sweet, delicious death, and not the worst way to go. However, it's about the dumbest way to go. So don't eat chocolate if you're allergic to it. Self-harm is never a good thing, and you know you're allergic, you're not supposed to have it. It makes it a little bit easier, but I'm still bummed because chocolate tastes delicious. Oh well, what are you going to do? I'm just going to end the video here and say thank you for watching. I'm sorry this got a little weird, but I will always bring you the best information and never try and BS you on this stuff. And if something didn't turn out, I'm going to let you know and hopefully come up with a fix for it. Cooking isn't perfect. Cooking is about solving problems. It really is. Problem was I didn't cook it long enough, so threw it back in the oven. There you go. Now you know you can do that. I had no idea you could, but another 30 minutes and boom, there you go. It's perfect. But these are amazing. They're chewy and delicious. They're incredible. They pull apart. They're so good. And I have to go wash my hands before I do anything, because if this gets in me, I'm in trouble. So I'm going to do that and say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.